Hello there. So I'm curled up in my sleeper. I'm I'm at the shop at a TA. Yeah, it's pretty much every trailer I pick up. I'm not sure if I mentioned it in my last video that I uploaded. Dumbasses and assholes at USA Truck. It's a mixture of the two. I'm just every trailer I pick up has a flat tire or a light out or missing a mud flap, or something. Every one of them has a DOT violation. Almost every one. So I'm having to put almost every trailer I pick up into the shop. Or if there's not a shop within a couple miles, and I'm not going to drive on a flat for 60 miles to the nearest shop. There was one that I picked up in, I think, Greenwood, Louisiana. The nearest shop was something like 50 or 60 miles away. So they had to send somebody out there to replace the tire at the shipper. But this one that I picked up, oh man, it had like a completely bald tire. Like this thing had zero tread on it. It had a puncture in the sidewall and was flat. The tire that was paired with it on that same axle had chunks missing out of the tread. Like it had decent tread on it and it was aired up, but it had huge chunks missing out of it that went all the way down below the tread. So I'm having two tires replaced. The turn signal on the left side of the trailer was dimly lit and won't flash, so I'm having that repaired or replaced. I don't know if that's an electrical or wiring issue, or if that light is out. They're figuring that out right now. The chain on one of the doors was missing, and this is the style of door where whenever you open up the doors to hold them open, you pull the chain through the little hole, and then you put the link in the chain in the notch. There was only one single link left of whatever chain was on there, and there was a whole bunch of twine and wire that somebody had MacGyvered to hold the door open. It took me quite a bit of extra time to undo the wire to close the door. So these assholes are just, they're not taking these things to the shop. So those are the assholes. They know that there's an issue that needs to be fixed, but they don't want to spend the time to get it fixed. So they're just, getting this trailer off to the next person. And then there are the dumbasses that just don't know any better. They're not doing inspections. They don't even know that there's a flat tire. They don't know that, one of the tires is completely bald or missing tread, or has chunks out of the tire, or a puncture in the sidewall. They don't know that there's a light out. Those are the dumbasses. So it's a mixture of dumbasses and assholes over here at USA Truck. And if you do proper inspections and you're not willing to get DOT violations by driving faulty things down the road, then you're going to be in the shop all the fucking time at USA Truck. What else was wrong with this thing? There's like four or five things up at the shop for. So it's two tires, turn signal, the chain on the door. The air lines are hanging too low. The air lines have to be 18 inches off the ground. They're not 18 inches off the ground, so I asked them to adjust the springs that are holding the airlines up. Change the positioning on those so that they hold them up higher off the ground. There was a couple of other things I'm trying to remember. I know that one of the other things I asked them to take a look at is, it feels to me like the brakes are not engaging as fast as they should, and that they're not releasing as fast as they should. So whenever I press the brakes, there seems to be like a couple of seconds of delay before the trailers engage, Like I can feel the tractors engage, and then a couple of seconds later, the trailer, I can feel, extra braking kick in a couple of seconds later. And then after I release the brakes, the trailer brakes take a second or two to release. So the mechanic told me that there's something called a pancake valve that adds delay into the braking. He said that the braking that I'm noticing might be normal, or there might be an issue with the pancake valve. I don't know. I'm not a mechanic, so they're going to take a look at that. And I can't remember what else there was. I want to say there was one other thing wrong with this trailer. This trailer was crap. Like, I saw the flat, and just when I first spotted the trailer, when I was looking for an empty at this place, I saw that it had a flat tire. That was the only thing wrong with it that I noticed, and I went and looked for another trailer because almost every trailer I pick up, I've had to put it in the shop. I'm sick and tired of going to the shop. And what's messed up is the trailer that I dropped. It had a flat. There was a flat that I put on my post trip for that trailer. It's the second trailer that I've dropped that had an issue on my post trip, and that tire was aired up when I did my pre-trip, so it went flat. I don't know what happened. I think when I was it was a pretty tight spot that I had to get it into, so I had to pivot the trailer. It was like a 90 degree, and I think that it just lost its bead while I was pivoting it into that spot, because when I started my post trip, it was just low air and I could hear air coming out. And by the time I finished my post trip, it was completely flat. So it went flat while I was backing it up or while I was driving around in the yard. There was a lot of debris in the yard. When I went to back into that spot, I actually picked up several pieces of wood and threw them out the back of the spot, moved them out of the place I was going to be backing into because I didn't want to blow a tire. I didn't want to puncture a tire driving over all the, it looked like there'd been a lot of sweeping out trailers in that area. There was just pieces of wood everywhere. But I don't know, maybe I got it driving around. I think it just lost the bead of the tire while I was pivoting the trailer. That might be it, maybe not. But that's about it. I'm just saying, this is like every time I pick up a trailer, I deal with this shit. I'm about to hit up my DM. Like, I don't think I get paid anything for breakdown unless it's over like 24 hours. So I haven't said anything up to this point because I think that is the breakdown pay. But man, like I'm about to say something to my driver manager about being compensated for taking these things to the shop like every day. I'm in the shop on almost a daily basis. It's horrible. I don't know, it's frustrating. And one of the things that's fucked up is there are people that are putting on their post trips that so they're not dumbasses and they're not assholes. There are some decent drivers like me. I think I'm a decent driver here. I do the right things. There are trailers that I picked up where the issues with the trailer were mentioned in a post trip. And it was explained to me during orientation that when we put something on a post trip, we drop a trailer, like the one that I just dropped when I picked this one up, that the tire went flat while I was backing it up or driving it around in that yard. I put that on my post trip. they're actually supposed to send someone out to fix that at that customer location so the next driver doesn't have to deal with it. And they don't do that. They just let the next driver deal with it, because I've had trucks, or not trucks, but trailers that I picked up that have had issues listed on a post trip that were not fixed. So I had to go take them to a damn shop to get them fixed. Or I had to have roadside come out and I had to sit there and wait for them. The whole process is like, so I have to call roadside, and it's usually anywhere from like a 10-minute to 30-minute wait to get a hold of one of them on the phone. And then I have to explain to them all the stuff that's wrong, give them all the trailer numbers and the tractor numbers and all that information, tell them where I'm at, and let them know like how far I'm willing to drive, if I'm willing to drive at all. And we, figure out where I'm going to get it repaired. I usually go to a place before I even call them. And then after that, then I have to go into the place that I'm, like this TA, and I have to ask them, okay, did USA Truck send you over the ticket thing? And they'll be like, yeah, they sent it, or they didn't, or whatever. And then I'll have to go and answer questions with the TA person, and they'll give me my phone number, and then I'll have to go wait in my truck for a phone call. And I waited about an hour and a half today, got a phone call, and they called me and said, hey, back into door 4 on the I-44 side. I was like, back in? Yeah. I'm like, all right. And so I backed it in over here, and now I'm sitting in here in my truck while they're working on all these things. I don't know how quick they're going to be. The guy that replaced the trailer that I dropped that had a flat last night, I actually had that in the shop as well and had a tire replaced on it yesterday. And that was the fastest tire change. I think he changed the tire in 15 minutes. That is really quick for one of these, because it was an inside. He had to remove both tires, and then he had to take the tire off the rim, put the new tire on the rim, then air it up, put both tires back on. Like, to do all that in like 15 minutes, that was insanely fast. Like, really fast to me to change out a tire is like 45 minutes. This guy did it in like 15. I've never seen anybody close to that on changing a tire. But there was a roadside guy that changed it out pretty quick. He did it in like 30 minutes, and that was on the side of a road. That wasn't even in a shop. That guy was really good. But yeah, I had like that trailer I dropped last night that had a flat. I didn't drop it because with a flat because I was lazy and didn't want to deal with the shop. I actually put that trailer in the shop 120 miles before there. So I stopped at a Love's. No, it was a Flying J in what the hell was it? It was the first Flying J southwest. Well, it was on 44. So the first Flying J outside of, was it Kansas City? Yeah, Kansas City, west of Kansas City on 44. The first Flying J outside the city to the west. It was about 146 miles from my drop in Springfield, Missouri, and I had a tire replaced there. It was on the other side of the axle, so unrelated. And then I drove at 146. I did my pre-trip there. I got it replaced when I arrived at that Flying J, because when I did my post-trip, I noticed I had a flat. So I took it into the shop while I was in my sleeper berth time, got it fixed, then I went to sleep, and then I did my pre-trip everything was good. And then I got to my drop 146 miles away in Springfield, and I hear air leaking, and when I'm pushing on the tire with my tire thumper, I'm able to push it in, so it's really low air pressure, and I can hear it leaking air. So and then after a few minutes it was almost completely flat. So I didn't drop it flat because I was lazy. I mean, I put that damn trailer in the shop. I've had trailers that I've had worked on 3 times in a single day. There was one that I picked up out of Louisiana at a Georgia Pacific. It had a flat and a marker light out. So this was the place that was like 60 miles from the nearest shop. So they sent somebody out there to replace the flat tire, but he couldn't work on anything but tires. So they told me to just drive it to the nearest shop to get the marker light fixed. So I sat around roadside to repair the tire right there at the shipper. And that was like 2 hours, because it took him an hour to get there, and then it took him about an hour to fix it. Then I drove about 60 miles outside Shreveport to, I forget what, if it was a Love's or TA or what. I think it was a Love's. And had them fix the marker light. And then when I dropped the trailer, one of the tail lights was out. So I guess I technically didn't put it in the shop 3 times. I put it in the shop twice. But when I did my post trip, when I dropped the trailer, a tail light was out. So I have dropped 2 trailers total that on my post trip they had issues. That was the first one, tail light out, and that tail light was not out when I did my pre-trip for that. And then the one last night had the tire that went flat on me. But this company is full of dumbasses and assholes that, I mean, I'm just constantly picking up trailers with issues. Part of it is, like, these trailers are real janky. Like, supposedly there's been a big push to do maintenance on these trailers and get, everything done properly. I think that's a fairly new policy. I think that's a fairly new ideology with this company, because there's no way that from, I want to say, when was it? It was, I think the annual inspection on the trailer that I have right now was done in July of last year. So you're talking, what is that, 9 months? Over the course of 9 months, a tire does not go completely fucking bald. So this tire was really low tread whenever the annual inspection was done on it, and they chose to just keep rolling with it. That tells me that at that time they were doing absolute minimums. They were just like, oh, it's good enough. We'll get a couple hundred more miles out of this one, a few thousand more miles out of these tires. But that tire was just held together with hope and dreams and stuff. There wasn't hardly any tire left on the one that was flat on this thing. There's been a lot of people, because we do drop-in hooks all the time at USA Truck. You rarely have the same trailer for more than a day or two. If you have the same trailer for like 3 or 4 days, that's rare. Maybe if you're on a dedicated account or something that does a lot of live loads and live unloads, then that might be a thing. But I'm not familiar with all of our dedicated accounts. But if you're like a normal driver, a normal OTR driver at USA Truck, you're not keeping the same trailer for very long. So that means that multiple people have done horrible inspections, because this tire has 0 tread. It hasn't been like this for like 1 day. It's been like this for weeks or months, that it has not passed an inspection. and people have been driving around with this damn trailer. There's just a bunch of dumbasses and assholes with this fucking company, and that's the reason people complain so much about putting these trucks and these trailers in the shop, about the amount of time. Like, this is one of the biggest complaints that you're going to find online about USA Truck, is the amount of time you spend in the shop with faulty trailers and tractors. And what it's going to do, if they don't do something about this shit, is all of the good drivers that are actually doing inspections, all of the good drivers that are going to help them with their CSA score, because they're not going to get DOT violations, because they're not going to roll into a DOT inspection with a bald tire, or their airlines dragging the fucking ground, or lights out, things like that. All of those drivers like me, they're going to leave this shithole company because they're going to get sick and fucking tired of dealing with this bullshit. I don't get paid to sit around and deal with mechanics, to call in for an hour and a half, dealing with roadside. Because after this gets repaired, I have to call and sit on hold with roadside for another half hour to get them to clear the repairs off my DVIR, because I can't do any more inspections until those issues are resolved. So I can't do pre-trips or post-trips or anything until these issues are resolved. So you can't modify it, you can't add to it, you can't do anything. And I have to call into roadside and wait on hold to talk with them to get them to clear, the DVIRs. So you have to call them to set all this up. You have to call them to clear it. You have to deal with the people at the shops, like the TAs, and then you have to go sit and wait for them to call you. So you're in a ready state at that point. You can't go and take a shower or anything like that. And like right now, I can't really leave the truck right now. They're working on the truck. At any minute, they could walk up to the window and be like, "Hey, could you turn the lights on? Hey, could you hit the brakes? Hey, could you pull forward? Could you pull back?" They could ask me to do anything. They could tell me that they're done and they need me to leave. I have to, pretty much stay here with the truck. So, I'm trying to go to sleep, but I was able to fall asleep earlier while I was waiting on them to call me, and I slept for maybe 30 minutes, and now I can't fall asleep again, now that I've got the truck parked in here. There's only so much control that I have over my sleep. Like, I can't just, some people are, that watch this may think that, well, oh man, you can just sleep while you're sitting there. Man, I'm constantly trying to take naps, but I'm napping, and it's not good quality sleep, and I'm gonna have to do a full work day whenever this repair gets done. And that brings up another issue. I still don't have a load on me. I don't know why I don't have a load assigned to me. I don't know if it's because they can't find a load, or if it's because they know that I'm in the shop. I highly doubt they know that I'm in the shop. My driver manager has nothing to do with breakdown or maintenance or anything. I don't think she gets any kind of alert or anything when I'm in the shop. So I think the reason I don't have a load right now is they can't find a load. They had issues finding me a load on Monday, and Monday is like the best day to get a load. Monday's like, that's load day. That's when all the brokers show up for their Monday, and all those loads that have built up over the weekend, they're putting them all out there. So if you can't find a load on Monday, something's not good. So they had issues finding me a load on Monday. And then my last load, they deadheaded me like 240 miles to Chicago, Wilmington technically, but the Chicago area. So, that's a really good freight market. But now I'm back down around Springfield. This is the area where they had issues finding me a load on Monday. So I think that I'm just sitting around, like, I think they're having issues finding me a load. I'm not going to bother messaging them and being like, "Hey, give me a damn load," until after I get out of the shop, because I'm not sure how long the shop's going to take. I'm going to avoid Loves going forward, because Love's, those are some shady fucks. At, the mechanics at Love's. At TA's, I haven't had issues. They're like working on my shit. Like as soon as I pull in, they start working on it. If it's an easy thing that only takes like 5 fucking minutes, and it only takes 5 fucking minutes. I had a marker light that I got fixed at a TA. I was out of there within like 5 minutes. The guy took the light out. Well, I actually pulled the light out, and I could see the wires had basically rotted. So he had to just clip the wires back a little bit. And I'm not even sure if he replaced the marker light itself or if he just clipped the wires back and then put it back together. I was going to replace the marker light myself, but it wasn't the snap-in kind. It was the kind that you had to like put together, and then you had to melt the covering thing over it. I mean, I probably could have MacGyvered it and like gotten out my needle nose pliers and clipped the wires and then just screwed them together. Looks like they just gave me a load, and they said that I can take it home with me and deliver it on Monday. It's only fucking Thursday. What is this shit? I'm gonna have to look at this shit. I don't want to take like a fucking 3-4 day weekend. This is gonna be a really shitty week for me. Alright, I guess I'll do that in another video. They said that I just saw a message pop up, and it basically said you can deliver this on Monday and take home time on it. It better be like I'm going to back up to Chicago to pick something up or something. Let me see what the fuck is going on. Anyway, this video is going to be about maintenance. I'll make another video about this bullshit if it's bullshit. Let me look at this, see what's going on. Alright, thanks. Bye.